Hey, this is episode 97 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. A few months ago, I was in one of my live streams, and like most live streams, they veer all over the fucking place, and somehow on an episode reviewing Starship Troopers, we ended up talking about Brad Dourif. It's no shock that a horror podcast would end up talking about Dourif, though, and before long, we got to talking about Exorcist 3. For me, the strength of Dourif's performance is grounded in how laid back he plays it. He's essentially playing the devil, and it occurred to me that if you're playing a character that's thousands, if not millions of years old, you might not see time in the same way that ordinary humans do. I think there are only two scenes where he lets the mask slip for about 30 seconds, and then you see that he's basically playing the personification of hatred itself, openly wishing for the unending torment of the innocent and anyone else he can sink his proverbial fangs into. It's fucking terrifying, especially because a second later the mask is back on and he's just chatting you up. The fact that Dourif plays the entire part sitting on a bench while chained to a wall in a straitjacket somehow makes you feel that even though you're watching a movie, the restraints are the only thing keeping you safe. That brings me to tonight's movie, The Blackcoat's Daughter. It's no secret I'm a huge fan of 90s movies, that magical time in cinema where actors, writers, and directors were producing low to medium budget 5-star content. I won't get into those titles today, but Exorcist 3 was certainly one of them. We have the same kind of a winner here from a company that seems to be kicking out low-key hits left and right, A24. The Blackcoat's Daughter is something I've never seen before. It's the story of what I can only describe as a long-term demonic hit job, again resisting the urge to explain why, which makes the story all the more terrifying as it unfolds. The film basically moves along three named threads: Catherine, Rose, and Joan. Rose is an upperclassman at an all-girl Catholic school who delays leaving for winter break because she thinks she's pregnant. She wants to use a few days to plan out what her next move is going to be, so she lies to the school and her parents about when the break starts, allowing her to stay on campus and meet with her boyfriend. Another thread is Joan, a young woman who has escaped from a psychiatric hospital and is picked up by an innocent family offering her a ride, food, and even shelter at a local motel in the middle of their road trip. The final thread is Catherine, an underclassman at the same school as Rose. She's the target of the possession, and her performance is just fantastic because instead of playing it in a screaming, shrieking, Emily Rose, deliver us from evil, the right kind of way, no disrespect to Jennifer Carpenter or anyone else, she plays it like someone who is in on a secret that you're not. It's a creepy fucking performance with no special effects to speak of, something almost unheard of in today's CGI filmmaking universe. The way she breaks eye contact and seems to be watching something you can't see or hearing something you can't hear is what scared the crap out of me. She's in on a secret that you're clearly not. It wasn't what I could see or hear, but what I couldn't that made it work. And fucking hell did it ever work. The scenes where she meets the priest at the start of the movie but clearly seems to be having another voice working on her, combined with her at the basement furnace, together make this far scarier than almost any possession movie I can think of. Finally, someone got the idea that less is more. Fucking A24. The Rose storyline is sort of the novella between two massive bookends named Catherine and Joan. As her pregnancy storyline rolls out, she's increasingly creeped the fuck out by the idea of spending a few extra days with Catherine, who also isn't going home for the break. As the only two students at the school, they're sort of forced to interact with each other, and it's easy to see how Rose might think Catherine is becoming profoundly mentally ill, while the viewer understands it's something far more dark. That brings us to Joan. You're never quite sure till the very end what her story is, but there are lots of clues along the way that tell you it probably won't end well. I won't get into spoilers here because I don't feel all that many people have seen this movie, and I definitely want more to catch it. That said, the sense of loss that's conveyed at the end is like nothing I've ever seen before. You're looking at someone who has completely surrendered to a force that has unending pain and suffering as its only goal for everyone involved. And I mean absolutely everyone. The timeline itself is like nothing I've ever seen before, and in the end, the line about the only guarantee being that you'll never understand why hammers into you like nothing else. The cold control of the evil at work here is not to be found in other possession movies, and that's what makes it unique and so damn frightening. Like Duro's performance, it only flashes hot briefly, and in that time, for maximum effect before going back right into the ice. You get the impression that you're allowed a brief glimpse behind the curtain at the long game, long enough to make you shit yourself, but not nearly long enough to figure out what's actually going on. It really is a glimpse of hell, filled with nothing but unending despair and run by an entity locked in a prison of ice so profound it channels his thinking. This movie is currently streaming on Showtime, but after seeing it once, I went out and bought it on Blu-ray. It's a fucking steal at $10.